What's up, guys? I hope you all are having a great day today. This is actually a topic I've wanted to make a video on for quite some time, but I guess E3 kind of got in the way and I never got around to it. But I wanted to talk about this entire controversy surrounding Battlefield 2042. Oh my god, guys, go ahead and get your pitchforks out because, you know, we're going to be talking about a true injustice in the video game industry. Now, there are a lot of people on YouTube and across the internet that I've seen that are up in arms about Battlefield 2042 for a very particular reason, and that, of course, is DICE's decision to not include a single-player campaign in Battlefield 2042 this time around, which personally, I could not care less about, man. Like, if you've ever played a campaign in a Battlefield game, especially look back to Battlefield 3 and 4, two of the games I think most people would argue are probably the best in the Battlefield series. Those two games had some of the most generic, cookie-cutter, unoriginal, and forgettable campaigns in any first-person shooter. They were a legitimate chore to get through. They were boring. Nobody cared about them. Everybody just mainly played them because that's how you unlocked guns in multiplayer faster. So that was literally the only incentive to play through it. It was a genuine chore to sit through such a tacked-on campaign. So personally, I don't really have a problem with Battlefield coming out this year and saying, you know what, we're gonna focus on what actually makes our game good and the main reason why everybody's buying it in the first place, and we're just not gonna do a single-player campaign, which I am perfectly fine with. The original Battlefield games in the franchise never had a campaign. I think the campaign started with Bad Company 1, and they just kind of continued from there, but for the most part, Battlefield games never had a campaign, but people are all up in arms because they made the decision to go ahead and charge the full price for the game, which, again, I don't really get what the outrage is over this. Like, if you're getting a really good multiplayer experience that you're probably going to spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours in over the span of years, I don't really know how you can't justify that price, but apparently people are really upset about it, man, and there's been a lot of videos on YouTube that have just been going off on Battlefield 2042, and the video I wanted to take a look at here today is from one of my personal favorite content creators, and it doesn't really have to do anything with him in general. I think this video just kind of echoes the overall sentiment that a lot of these people are having when it comes to Battlefield 2042. Like, it's doing damage to the first-person shooter genre by not including a campaign, which is a claim I think is absolutely ridiculous because, you know, it's perfectly fine when a first-person shooter comes out and it only has a campaign and has no multiplayer. That's perfectly justified, even if the game is full price and is only 10 to 15 hours long. But when a multiplayer shooter comes out that doesn't include a campaign and they're charging full price for it, suddenly it's a terrible thing, which I really just do not get whatsoever. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at this YouTube video. Now, the title of the video we are going to be taking a look at here today is "This Sucks. Battlefield 2042 is multiplayer only, no campaign or battle royale," which I'm sure everyone here is just absolutely devastated over, dude. No battle royale in Battlefield 2042? I'm canceling my pre-order right now. But anyways, like I said, this video is not really in particular addressing Dreamcast guy, which, I mean, maybe we will a little bit, but anyway, it's mainly just addressing this overall sentiment, which I think this video echoes really well. So I think without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and play this shit.
I just need to talk for a second to get something off my chest.
Oh fuck, where did he hide the body?
This isn't necessarily going to be an angry rant, I'm not scripting this out, but I want to just kind of talk about the death of single-player FPS games.
Didn't realize I was watching a Clean Prince video, dude. Single-player first-person shooter games didn't just die. They were murdered. Well, that's not over-dramatic whatsoever. I mean, we've kind of seen a resurgence recently in single-player FPS games, but do tell me how they're dying.
Back in the day, when you bought a first-person shooter, it was two things at once. It was a gigantic campaign, something like Halo that allowed you to battle against aliens, or classic Call of Duty that allowed you to just go against Hitler's forces and stuff. But additionally, a first-person shooter was also, of course, online multiplayer.
It's kind of ironic you're using Halo as an example because the original Halo did not have online multiplayer. You had to do LAN parties, but, you know, of course, you know exactly what you're talking about, right? Or maybe like the old Battlefield games that didn't have a campaign at all. I don't know. There's like this massive misconception about the history of first-person shooters. Like, they always came with a campaign and a multiplayer, when obviously that is not the case.
It was a chance to play games and battle against the best of the best and explore maps and learn guns and stuff. But now, most shooters are single player excluded. They're only just the online aspect of it, and to me, this feels like a loss.
I don't really know where he's pulling this from other than straight out of his ass, because I can only think of two really prominent cases in the past 3 years of first-person shooters launching without a campaign, and that, of course, is Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which we saw Treyarch reverse course on that, and Black Ops Cold War included a campaign, and now Battlefield 2042. For the most part, I can't really think of many AAA first-person shooters that have only launched with a multiplayer. Like, maybe I'm wrong here, but I really can't think of many.
What's up, gamers? Dreamcast Guy here.
You know, gotta love that intro a whole minute into the YouTube video, bro, because, you know, just in case you guys were dumb enough to not understand who you're watching from the intro, you know, in case that wasn't obvious enough, you know, here's another reminder for you.
What's up, gamers? Dreamcast Guy here, and just a couple minutes ago we actually just saw the reveal of Battlefield 2042. Now, looking at these initial details, honestly, I got incredibly excited. The teaser trailer they showed was very exciting because it gives us just this glimpse of some of the most perfect, crazy kills and intense action we're going to experience. But what kind of got me is, as I read over these details, initially they're talking about the game modes we love the most coming back, huge multiplayer, which I love, 128 people on a single map, very cool, 7 massive maps. But here's where things started to get weird. Battle passes and seasons.
Oh my god, dude, a multiplayer game in 2021 that has battle passes and seasons to those battle passes? Like, oh my god, what is the world coming to?
One free, one paid for, and also no campaign, which is the gigantic downside.
I mean, could you just imagine if Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 came out and they never had a campaign, bro? Like, forget the hundreds of hours I spent playing multiplayer on those games. What really sold me and really just made it worth my money was that 4 to 5 hour forgettable cookie cutter campaign, bro. Without that, Battlefield 3 and 4 would have been a complete flop.
Now, I'm not saying this game sucks.
I mean, you heavily implied it in the title.
Now, I'm not going to act like this is like always a bad thing. Sometimes there have been just games that have been improved by not attempting to do a single player experience. Sometimes there's games that manage to be bigger and better because they focus on what they do best. And it seems like this is kind of the statement they're trying to release.
Does anyone else think it's kind of ironic he's using Call of Duty Black Ops 4 to prove this point, bro? Like, this is probably one of the worst Call of Duty multiplayers to ever release, and he's using that as the example for a game that focuses only on multiplayer and gets rid of the campaign to improve that. Like, I think the better example would be something like Overwatch or Counter-Strike, something like that, but no, let's go with Call of Duty Black Ops 4, arguably one of the worst Call of Duty games of all time. I mean, you couple this with the whole Halo comparison that he was trying to make, saying that Halo has always had an online multiplayer in addition to a campaign, which, by the way, is objectively false. The original Halo, there was no online multiplayer for that game. It was mainly a single player only title that later added online multiplayer, but it just kind of shows you a very recurring trend that I've seen when it comes to people complaining about this whole decision by DICE to make this game multiplayer only. They generally just have no idea what they're talking about.
It's Battlefield 2042. Here's an article already with an official freaking read by the designers. Battlefield 2042 has no campaign and no battle royale.
I don't know, personally I think no battle royale is a big W.
Now they've actually have this gigantic quote here where they basically say that we've been doing this for so long, and you know what? We're just not going to do a traditional single player campaign, but we're going to put that emphasis on the resources to making bigger and better multiplayer, more in-depth multiplayer. Here's my problem with that.
I mean, let's be honest here. The only problem that's in this entire controversy is you're just looking for some rage bait YouTube views, bro. You just want the boomer shooter fans who are going to be like, oh my god, no campaign equals no buy, even though they probably would have never touched the campaign for this game, even if it did have one. So, I don't know, man. This to me just seems like the dumbest thing on earth to get outraged over when Battlefield has always been about the multiplayer, and I see no problem with DICE wanting to focus on the point of the game that everyone is buying it for. If anything, we should be praising them for not trying to tack on an unnecessary campaign and battle royale and actually focusing on the part of the game that everybody wants.
Is that single player is a very unique art form. Like, let me just say something completely crazy real quick, which is that I think that first-person shooters actually have some of the most difficult tuning of any video games. Like, really kind of just consider this for a second. They have to manage to find a balance between tons of guns, attachments, body armors, health kits. Do characters heal? Do they not? The fact that they managed to get this right in so many first-person shooters, to me, is incredibly impressive. But I've always managed to respect even more when they manage to make a game that is big and is fun online, but also manages to have a concise story on top of it.
Yeah, and the Battlefield series has never been known for that. Like, play any of the mainline Battlefield games. I'm not talking Battlefield Bad Company 1 or 2. Those are made by DICE LA, and they actually did a good job with the campaigns, but play any of the mainline Battlefield games. I'm talking Battlefield 3, 4, 1, or even 5. They are not that great. They're pretty generic. They feel like they're just tacked on. They're nothing special. There's no deeper involving story. They're overall just very generic so that they can claim, hey, look, we have a campaign so people don't complain about it, like you.
It's a chance to play a game that is actually fun and has a story and characters and motivations to it.
It's almost like he's never played a Battlefield campaign before because none of them have that.
You guys are gonna laugh at me, but I completely loved Call of Duty World War II.
I mean, you're right, I am gonna laugh because that's arguably the worst Call of Duty game to ever release.
And part of that was because, well, I could go online, I could blast people with old school guns and stuff, and then play through a decent, crazy, interactive action movie on top of it.
Again, it's like he's almost never played a Battlefield campaign before. They are extremely boring.
Okay, so someone in the comments is probably saying something like, Dreamcast guy, you're just an old boomer. You grew up with games like BioShock, and that's why you got BioShock tattoos. Well, this is true, but...
I mean, I wouldn't really classify BioShock as a boomer shooter, but I do think it's kind of funny he's bringing this up as an example, because, you know, didn't he say at the beginning of this video that, you know, first-person shooters used to always come with a single player and a multiplayer, but now we're talking about a single-player only game, which, you know, once again, you got to appreciate the irony there. He's dealing in absolutes, which is completely stupid in my opinion, but, you know, I already know somebody's gonna be in the comments like, oh my god, dude, BioShock did have both a multiplayer and a single player, you piece of fucking shit. And yes, I know BioShock 2 had a multiplayer. It was just really fucking bad.
But I'm not even talking about single player only experiences. Like, single player FPS games are great. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely love a really solid single player experience. My thought is that we used to get both.
And you're using BioShock as an example for that. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Could this dude be any more less informed?
And we still get both sometimes. Think about something like absolutely Doom Eternal killed it last year. It is so freaking long and gory and great. It introduces so many new concepts like platforming and stuff, and yet it is still balanced, it is still fun, and it certainly made its money back.
Yeah, and for as great as a game as Doom Eternal is, the multiplayer for that game is so unnecessary. Literally, it is garbage, bro. Like, battle mode in Doom Eternal is the most unnecessary thing on planet Earth. Nobody plays it. Nobody cares about it. It was dead within a week. And if id Software had come out and said, you know what, we're not going to focus on a multiplayer this time around, we're just going to focus on single-player content, there would be nothing wrong with that. Just like how there's nothing wrong with DICE coming out and saying, hey, we're not going to focus on a single-player campaign because it's not the focus of our game. We're instead going to focus on the part that everybody's buying it for, the multiplayer. I just love how it can go one way but not the other. It's really fucking odd to me.
It's just so painfully obvious that the reason they're doing this is because it's going to make them even more profit. Even if this game is fun, let's face it, it's going to be a lot cheaper to develop if you're not trying to hire actors to do the game, you're not having all these writers and campaign editors and stuff. Instead, it's just straight up good, tight shooting and with as many microtransactions and battle passes as possible.
Oh god, dude, gotta get those extra points on Reddit, you know, microtransaction bad, because, you know, putting a battle pass in your game in 2021 is so unheard of, bro. Like, if anything, we should be happy that it's a battle pass system and not loot boxes or whatever, because for the most part, battle passes are pretty tame. Like, most games that implement them, they're not even really that bad. Most of them are just filled with cosmetic items that have no effect on gameplay whatsoever, and that's all the details we have in regards to monetization for Battlefield 2042, so it's really stupid to just automatically assume, well, there's gonna be all this other shit in there too. They're just gonna look to nickel and dime you at every single opportunity, when if anything, the previous Battlefield games have always had pretty fair monetization for the most part. But, you know, gotta get that daily dose of outrage.
I mean, I can't completely blame them for that. I mean, when people look at games like how much money Call of Duty is making with their stupid microtransactions, how much profit and billions of dollars are being generated by Fortnite, I understand that game developers, they got the dollar signs in their eyes. They think, how can I make the most money off of my project? Because let's face facts, this game is definitely going to cost $70 on the Xbox and the PlayStation 5. They're definitely going to sell this for the marked up price of a next-gen game, and yet there's not going to be any like fancy voice acting or crazy plot twists.
Like, I'm genuinely wondering at this point, has he never played a Battlefield campaign? Does he actually think there's like crazy plot twists in a Battlefield camp? Like, are you joking me, man? Like, I mean, it is so blatantly obvious he is ignorant in this situation, but I just really think it's funny people use this argument. They're going to charge full price for a multiplayer experience, but this dude's perfectly fine with dropping $70 to play Ratchet and fucking Clank, an 8 to 10 hour single player campaign that you're probably never going to go back to. So, you know, $70 for a game like that's perfectly acceptable, but $70 for a multiplayer experience you're going to spend hundreds if not thousands of hours in over the span of years, that's not worth $70. But that 8 to 10 hour single player campaign, that's definitely worth $70. Like, I don't know how anyone can come up with this logic if they have a functioning brain, but apparently there's a lot of people out there who think if it doesn't have a single player, it shouldn't be full price, but an 8 to 10 hour game is definitely worth a full $70. Like, it just does not compute in my mind. But you know what, I'll make it a little bit better for you, man. You can literally get that EA subscription that lets you play all their games day one. Get that shit for like $10 or $15 a month, whatever it is. Try the game for a month. If you don't like it, you're out $15. No big deal, but if you do like it, by the time your subscription ends, it's probably going to be around Black Friday and the game's going to be heavily discounted, so you can go ahead and pick it up. You know, it's really a no-lose situation, but of course motherfuckers are always going to look for an excuse to bitch.
This is just going to be likely very good multiplayer.
Oh my god, the horror. Good multiplayer in a Battlefield game? I demand a refund right now. How fucking could they?
It's difficult for me not to feel just a little bit frustrated, a bit of anger, because I kind of miss this lost art. I feel like single-player shooters are probably going to become increasingly rare because they're just not as profitable. And to me, it makes me sad because I'm going to think about the great characters and great plot twists that have existed in the shooters of the past, and now, I mean, they're pretty much going extinct. Part of this comes down to low sales. Like, this is kind of a problem, which is that single-player shooters keep selling worse. Like Wolfenstein 2, this came out 3 years ago. Wolfenstein 2, this was a seriously 10 out of 10 experience.
Wait, Wolfenstein was a 10 out of 10 experience even though it didn't have a multiplayer? I thought games needed both.
And also, no campaign, which is the gigantic downside.
I mean, Dreamcast guy, I think you need to
keep that same energy.
Just completely knocked it out of the park. Great writing, great chaos. I mean, in this game you got a chance to chop up Nazis with hatchets and stuff. It was just so good, but it pretty much bombed.
Yeah, because it's a first-person shooter that came out around the time of Call of Duty that didn't have a multiplayer. Like, it's almost like Bethesda wanted that game to fail. But then compare it to a game like Doom Eternal, which, you know, has a multiplayer, but let's face it, nobody gave a fuck about it. Nobody was buying Doom Eternal for the multiplayer game mode. That game did extremely well, like you said. And what makes it even worse is it's from the exact same publisher. So if anything, this isn't indicative of anything, and it's literally just a one-off incident that really shouldn't be taken as anything except an outlier. So I don't really know why you're bringing this up. Oh wait, it's because your entire point's completely nonsensical.
And I feel like this is the issue with it, is that, I mean, companies have to chase the money somewhat.
No, the only reason these companies even exist in the first place is to make money. It's not the, you know, secondary objective or, you know, they're just trying to make enough to get by. The only reason companies enter the video game industry is to make as much money as possible, just like any other business and any other industry would.
These games do cost hundreds of millions of dollars to create. I'm not going to act like they just snap their fingers or wish upon a star and they magically appear. Like, obviously, development costs keep going up. Talk to any game developer, read any interview. The amount of people it takes to make these bigger, better, crazier, more open world experiences, of course, takes a lot of cash in your pocket.
Yeah, so why would a company waste money on a campaign in a game like Battlefield that most people are not going to care about anyway? Like, just put the pieces pieces together, you know, use a little bit of critical thinking.
So they need to try and return on that investment. So I guess my just thought is that I miss getting both. I miss when you used to get a single player and a multiplayer in it. Wolfenstein 2, this was a seriously 10 out of 10 experience.
Well, you obviously don't miss it too much.
I mean, I'm hoping that Halo Infinite is great, because Halo Infinite, it seems like the next giant shooter with a campaign that I'm actually excited about. People act like all the time that I'm an Xbox hater. Halo Infinite is going to have a campaign. It is going to have a story mode, and let's hope it actually is decent. I mean, also, let's think about the next Call of Duty. Call of Duty's probably going to get revealed soon, and I feel like there's a good chance it's not going to have any sort of single player.
I mean, like, what gives you that type of indication, man? The previous 2 Call of Duty games literally had a campaign, and I think you could probably argue the best part of Cold War was its campaign.
Solo games with a good chance to tell you some cool plots with some good shotguns. At this point, they're pretty much dead.
Literally holds up Doom Eternal earlier in the video and then says games like that are dead. Like, you literally cannot make this shit up.
But what do you think about it? Have you had a chance to see the Battlefield 2042 reveal? Am I being a gigantic crybaby, or are you happy with just multiplayer-only games?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Oh my gosh, I pulled down so many games from my collection for this video, but you know what? It's a good chance to walk down memory lane. Play BioShock. It's on new consoles, or on, you know, Xbox, PlayStation. Play BioShock.
You know what, I can actually agree with Dreamcast Guy on that. You should definitely check out BioShock. Absolutely a fantastic video game series, but that is going to do it for this video today, guys. You know, just overall, I think it really echoed the overall kind of opinion I've heard in terms of people who are upset over this game not having a campaign, and I think this kind of sums up all the points I wanted to make against those people saying, like, this game is not worth full price. You know, this is going to ruin the first-person shooter market. This is a dangerous precedent to set or something like that. I don't know, man. It's whatever. Like, overall, I'm excited for Battlefield 2042. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I already pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition of it to spite some other motherfucker who I'm probably going to make another video on talking about this game, because holy fucking shit, it's probably the worst take I have ever heard on anyone trying to call out the Battlefield franchise. Like, this dumbass motherfucker literally said that the Battlefield series has always been primarily about the campaign. Yes, there are actually people that stupid out there, but that is going to do it for this video today, guys. If you did enjoy it, make sure to drop a like on it. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to check out this video, and for all the recent support as well. You guys are the fucking best, and I really do appreciate it. And I will catch you guys next time.